Here is a philosophical construct thought of by René Descartes. René Descartes stated, "I think, therefore I am." What Mr. Descartes, who was presumably French, was contemplating was his very existence. The fact we exist is a given. Mr. Descartes may indeed have thought that he existed. Sadly, Mr. Descartes no longer thinks, and the substance of his being has disappeared into the soils of the earth from which it originated, and he is no longer. But the universe, or still exists. I am here. The point of this being is that the universe is eternal. The universe exists, and if we assume that at some point in time the universe originated from nothing, we can assume that things can arise from nothing. If that is the case, I mean, it is a proven fact that we exist. If it arose from nothing, then given any nothing, there is 100% possibility that at some point during that nothing, that existence will come into being. Therefore, if the universe should revert to a state of non-being, the chances are, by observation, scientific observation, that existence can come from nothing. And if the universe should go back to nothing and come into existence again, how do we measure the time between the first incarnation and the second incarnation? The answer is we can't. The time between the first incarnation and the second incarnation is 0 seconds. And therefore the universe is continuous both in time, and it's also continuous in size. One of the conventional ways of examining the beginning of the universe is to look in the book of Genesis in the Judeo-Christian Bible. I will quote the very first words of Genesis, which states, "In the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless and desolate. The ragged ocean that covered everything was engulfed in total darkness, and the power of God was moving over the water. Then God commanded, 'Let there be light,' and light appeared." There's a lot to be said about the Genesis. There's a lot of criticism, Genesis, etc., etc. But the words I like are the words that start "in the beginning," because I agree that that is the appropriate syntax. In the beginning. It does not state at the beginning, it says in the beginning, when God created the universe, when the forces that be created the universe that we experience, we were already in the beginning, and we were not at the beginning. It is at the beginning which happened before this void, occurred, the point of time, or whatever you like to call it, called the Big Bang, occurred at the beginning, not in the beginning. Okay. Let us have a look at the conventional view of the Big Bang. The conventional view of the Big Bang states that at the beginning there was nothing. That is a state of zero, and from that state of zero arose substance. That is an interesting construct, but as far as I'm concerned, it is back to front. At the beginning, that means at the beginning of the things that we experience as human beings, because everything that we know about the universe exists within ourselves and is not necessarily the absolute truth of what's out there. We're talking about the beginning of what we can trace back. So the actual nature of the universe is in my mind, a very dense, very large, but at the same time very small, infinitely small and infinitely large volume of stuff. And you can't really use the term volume of stuff. It is a place where there is no void, and where measurement can take place. Now, what happened at the beginning was that the stuff, which is represented by a 1 and not a 0, went through a process of entropy, because if you are stuff and you are so dense and so big and so large, and at the same time so small, you are under enormous strain. You're under the enormous strain of being everything that can possibly be, or the potential for everything to be. So it is natural that at some point it's going to sort of decay. And so the decay created a void, and that void gave rise to the ability to measure, and it is the ability to measure that gives rise to concepts such as time, which depends on measurement, and on size, which depends on measurement, because neither size nor the concepts of time or the positions of things in space can exist without measurement. They don't exist in their own right, and the only place where measurement can take place is within a void, and it is conducted, it is an act. These things don't have size in their own right, they have a size relative to something else. So at the beginning, the state of eternity, which is the universe, gave rise to a void, and in that void all sorts of things could take place, including the creation of us and intelligence. Yep, that's enough for that bit. I'll have to think and ponder on the conclusion.